up, guys? And welcome to this week's Q&A. Had a little break, did some traveling. Carrie and I went into the wilderness with our buddy Randy and tried our hand at using a compound bow. I could say we did some hunting, but I'm not sure I was ever going to kill anything, even if the opportunity came up, but it did not. But we did get to practice shooting the bow. They had a laugh at my developing skills. Carrie was practicing. We were doing some target practice at the camp, and I walked up all cocky and said, "Hey, let me show you how it's done." So Carrie kind of smiles. I pull back my bow, miss the target entirely. These guys haven't seen me shoot at all, so they're like kind of trying to size me up and figure out how I'm gonna fare out there. Completely miss the target. Then the bowstring whacks into my forearm, and like in the cartoons, you see someone get whacked in the head and their head instantly starts developing this massive mound. Like that's what happened to my forearm. This huge black and blue bump started growing out of my forearm, and they both fell on the ground laughing. But we had a great time. Just spent a few days in nature, did some cold plunges, swam in some hot springs. It was a blast. And then what else? I did a little traveling to Austin for a mastermind. And I'm excited to be back. So we've got a ton of questions for this week's Q&A. Those of you guys that are joining us live, if you have questions, you can put them in the comment section. And if there's time, I'll get to them on this Q&A. If there's not time and the existing questions take up all of our hour, then we'll save them for next time and we'll get them on the next Q&A, which I believe is next Tuesday at 5:30 p.m. Sometimes consultations and stuff runs a little bit long, as it did today, so apologize for that. But if it's not 5:30, it'll be as soon as I'm done with whatever I'm doing. So let's dive in. The first question. Some of these were leftovers that you guys submitted on the last Q&A that we didn't get to. So just giving you a heads up there. This one is from Sean, and he had asked, there was a study that came out recently showing that a lot of the chronic inflammation linked to diabetes was not necessarily due to blood sugar, but rather, glucose, but rather certain types of fats. And those fats being namely the inflammatory fats, the stuff that if you guys have been hanging around for a while, our bodies don't do too well with, like canola oil, vegetable oils. So the follow-up question, kind of piggybacking on that University of Kentucky study, was what are my thoughts on PUFAs, which are polyunsaturated fatty acids? Are they good sources? Are they in this inflammatory category? So to give you guys that aren't familiar with PUFAs a little bit of an idea of what we're talking about here, some of the oils and fats that have the highest percentage of PUFAs are safflower oil, grapeseed oil, walnut oil, canola oil, corn oil, soybean oil, sunflower oil. So you're seeing the pattern. These are all of those like big industrial seed oils produced by Big Agra that we don't do too well with. If you guys have read the Biohacker's Guide to Upgraded Energy and Focus or followed us for any amount of time, you're already well aware of that. We start getting into a little bit more gray area with, turkey fat, chicken fat. Olive oil is 8% PUFA, polyunsaturated fatty acids, but compared to, say, a safflower oil, which is 75%, that's nothing. There are some people who go so deep in their belief that all PUFAs are bad that they will even suggest avoiding fatty cold water fish, even wild caught fish. I'm not in that camp, but I do think the more I learn about nutrition and our unique genetic blueprints, our bio-individuality, we tend to do well with a nutritional template that mirrors the type of foods that our ancestors ate. Now, that is not applicable in all situations, but my family is Greek and Italian with little gypsy in there, right? And I tend to do well with a Mediterranean style diet. Fish as the primary protein source, wide variety of vegetables, some healthy fats, very generous with the olive oil. That's personally my primary source of fats. So I think that, like many things in health, the answer is it depends. I've never been a proponent of many of these industrial seed oils, but I also think that there are some foods that contain that are in this category of PUFAs, like wild caught fish, where if your health status is in a good place and your ancestors ate wild caught fish like mine did, those have a place in your nutrition program. So I don't know if that answered the question. Hopefully it did. I'm not on a ton of sleep. Last night, my flight got back at like 1:30 in the morning. I was getting in bed at like 2:45. My mom was trying to get on Instagram. She's the one that compiles all of these questions for you guys, and she was locked out of my Instagram. So we were up late doing that, and then I had to get up at 7. So I apologize if I'm a little bit off today. I'll do my best though. All right, cool. Next question. This one's from Sandra. Sandra asks, let me put this in the comments here, so we got a timestamp for Sandra. Sandra asks, what's the best biohack to improve energy that you've found in your life? Oh man. All right, so there are a few that have made a huge impact on me, and the next book that I write will probably contain all of these. So I don't want to give too much away, but in recent memory, let me see which ones I can share. All right, hold on a second. The one that comes to mind most recently was that trip to Rhythmia, doing a week, 4 ceremonies of plant medicine, ayahuasca plant medicine. I believe from my experience and working with a lot of clients on this stuff that a very common bottleneck in energy production and feeling consistent all-day energy is the pathogen load on your body. And there are a lot of people walking around with nervous systems that aren't working as good as they would like, and consequently there are prohibitive levels of viruses, bacteria, parasites, even fungal infections in some cases that are slowing them down. Many of these pathogens reside in the liver and then have a negative effect on detoxification to boot. You can only get so far with herbs, even prescription antimicrobials and anti-parasitic medications. I've done many rounds of the Hulda Clark parasite protocols, various other herbal parasite protocols, and prescription parasite protocols. I've also done a lot of protocols for low-level bacterial infections, viral things. Like those are the type of detoxes that I do and recommend with clients because they have a huge impact. And ayahuasca seems to address things that those don't. Pathogens that we can't get to with some of these traditional biohacks and tools and herbs and even prescriptions. I felt myself coming back to life during that treatment, that week at Rhythmia, and to such a degree that like even after my Wednesday night ceremony, I woke up Thursday morning, I did not feel good. And this is a little bit gross, so you guys may want to put on your earmuffs. But that morning I had a bowel movement and passed a pretty large parasite. And this is after multiple rounds of parasite protocols, really cleaning up my environment, doing a lot to boost my own immune function and energy production. That one ceremony with ayahuasca, and the next day I was passing a fairly large parasite. And while I felt a little bit groggy early in the day because we had to record podcasts and I didn't sleep a ton, that afternoon we did a workout and I was just cranking up the speed on the treadmill and I felt amazing. I just felt so good and like my body was more efficient with its oxygen utilization. I had better endurance, better strength and motivation. So that was a big one that's helped me recently. I like this Halcyon molecular hydrogen inhalation machine. I think we've got it now on our Biohacker store. If you go to our website, the store. We've got a lot of my favorite biohacks there. If you're looking for a cognitive boost, the research on molecular hydrogen inhalation for preventing Alzheimer's, dementia, Parkinson's, even reversing these neurodegenerative conditions, or just sharpening the mind, the research is quite strong. And it's one of those things where I like biohacks that are no extra time. So I'll use it for 45 minutes or an hour in the morning, then I'll use it for another 45 minutes or an hour in the afternoon or evening. And I notice I recover faster. My thinking feels sharper. My thinking does not feel sharp today, but I'm kind of coming off of the travel and not enough sleep. That's another one that I've really, really enjoyed. The others, I want to give you some more, but I also don't want to like spoil the book. The 1 Minute Miracle, the diluted 35% food grade hydrogen peroxide protocol, had a big impact for me and my father and a number of clients. So that's one that that really made a big difference. Those are three. There's three. We'll give you a lot more. The next book is probably going to have chapters dedicated to each one, talking about clients' experiences, my experiences, the science, and it's going to have a little bit of a narrative feel to it that I think you guys will enjoy. So stay tuned for that. And it's probably still a year out or so, but we'll dig into all of my favorite biohacks. I've compiled a list and excited to share it with you guys. All right, next question is from Penny. Penny asks, the best labs to have drawn for women's health and from which company? Good question, Penny. I would start with Life Extension has a test called the Female Elite Panel. And every client that's in our coaching program and mastermind gets that test. It gives you a baseline look at your hormones. It goes much deeper than the labs that doctors traditionally order. It shows you where your thyroid's at. It shows you if you've got some immune stuff going on, whether that's like a low-level chronic infection that's suppressing your immune function. It can give us some data points on heavy metal toxicity, where we know a lot of heavy metals reside in the marrow and can interfere with both stem cell production and white blood cell production. So we can get a good look at what may be going on inside the body just from that one test. I also really like the Emily Givler with Tree of Life has a test where if you get your organic acids test, you can get that from Dr. Stephen Cabral. We should probably just link to that in our Biohacker store, but you can go to Dr. Stephen Cabral's website. You can get the organic acids test. And then if you have your genetics done, or even if you don't, you get your genetics done. She takes your genes and the results of your organic acids test, and then she will give you more detail about your health status, your susceptibilities, your strengths than any other test that I've done. So I really like that one as well. Those would probably be the two places that I would start. I've done the hair tissue mineral analysis tests. We've done the Dutch tests. We've done the food sensitivity tests. We've done the heavy metal provocation tests. Many tests. And those give us a lot of data points especially alongside our health assessment. I think I'm a bigger fan of a well-done subjective test like ours than most of these blood or saliva or stool tests that produce false negatives, in some cases false positives, in the example of like a food sensitivity test. And yeah, we're putting something together that will be very, very low cost and provide people with far more data points on the things that are interfering with optimal energy production, body composition, optimal fat loss and the capacity to put on lean muscle than anything that's out there. So, and we want to make that something that is accessible to people no matter where they're at in the world, their age, their gender. So we'll keep you posted on that too. But that Life Extension Female Elite Panel, if you haven't done something like that, I would do that. And then if you want to go a little bit deeper, get your organic acids test from Dr. Stephen Cabral. They even have an option where you can get a consultation with it. Then take those results along with your, if you've done like 23andMe, some of those will work with Emily Givler and the Tree of Life crew, or you can just get your genes done with them. And then I would get that consultation. She's got like a 3 or 4 month waiting list, but it's worth it. Cool. Describe me. All right, I'm not sure what this means. This next question is from Josh Chandler. He says, describe me. I'm not hip to this, just told I had it. So describe me. We don't look at these questions beforehand, so sometimes I'm stuck figuring them out if they're not clear. I would say, Josh Chandler, shoot me what we're talking about here, and I can help you out a little bit more. Noel asks, yeah, I'm not sure what ME is. Like, I was thinking multiple sclerosis, but it's not that. I don't know. Josh, let me know what you're talking about, and I'll help you out, man. I'll do my best. So this question is from Noel, and Noel asks, what is your first focus for a morbidly obese person strategizing their weight loss efforts? 100% mindset. It is mindset. And like, it's not that they're mentally weak, but their mindset needs to be bulletproof in order for them to dig themselves out, to fight their way out. They need to be clear on what their goal is. What is an outcome that is, if they knew that they were going to have to work their butt off and fight harder than maybe they've ever had to fight in their life for something, what is the outcome that would make that worth it? They got to be clear on that. And they need accountability. They need somebody that's there alongside them. That's part of the reason that, you know, with our book and with our membership site and with affiliate products and our podcasts, we sell more coaching packages than anything else. It's because we need, the strategy. But for someone in this position, they don't need the strategy. They already know enough strategy to lose weight. They need help with accountability and mindset stuff. And they need a goal that is meaningful to them, where they're willing, where it is more painful for them to hang on to their past beliefs and habits that are keeping them stuck than it is to apply themselves and all of their faculties to creating this change in their life. Hopefully that answers your question. Mace asks, what is the best non-whey protein powder? Is pea protein best, and who makes it? I like Maximum Vibrance, and I like Thorne Mediclear SGS. Those are the two that we use with clients most often. I don't kind of go into blanket like this vegetable protein is better than that. Both of those have a mix. We've used Garden of Life. They're raw. We've used Sun Warrior before. We've used vegan Shakeology before. I think vegan Shakeology is the best tasting, but it's also quite expensive. So the value profile's a little bit less desirable than some of these other ones. So Maximum Vibrance and Thorne Mediclear SGS, those are the two that we use and recommend a lot. Zach Allison asks, I like these. These are good questions today. You guys are doing great. Not that they're not usually, but these are fun to answer. Noel says, thanks. You're welcome, Noel. What are your top 5 supplements you can't go without on a daily basis? Oh, man. Love the phrasing of the question. I don't like feeling like I need supplements to function. I'm certainly better with some supplements as a part of my regimen, but I don't like being tied to it where, like, you know, I can't go without it. I feel like that makes you less adaptable and resilient, which is an equally important skill set as performing at a high level. Top 5 supplements, I can tell you right now, because I rotate them a lot based on goals and desired outcomes. I like Mega Hydrate by Patrick Flanagan. It's a silica, and I believe there's some form of hydrogen there, but it's a silica-based supplement. I'll take 2 to 4 of those in the morning on an empty stomach. Right now, I'm really enjoying I have a tendency to sometimes go a little bit high on the estrogen. So to maintain a favorable testosterone to estrogen ratio and keep that estrogen metabolization high, a lot of that takes place. A lot of that is based on the health of your liver. So you got to keep your liver in good standing. Coffee enemas, clean nutrition, some of these kill protocols that we use for viruses and other pathogens. But I take a nano encapsulated liposomal DIM from Quicksilver Scientific. I'll do 4 pumps of that under my tongue, hold it, swish it around, agitate it in the morning. Sometimes I'll do it again in the afternoon. That helps on the hormonal side. I like that one a lot. Especially when I travel, I'll bring the 1 Minute Miracle 35% food grade hydrogen peroxide and take that 1 to 3 times a day in 6 ounces of water. Where I'll dilute it. I'm at the maximum dose, but if you guys aren't familiar, you can read about that. You basically start at a dose of 3 drops in a glass of water 3 times a day on an empty stomach, and then you increase up to 25 drops 3 times a day in water on an empty stomach. And like when I got to Mykonos, I was staying in a villa with one of my friends and former clients, and I woke up before he did in the morning, and he had like the main area of the villa was like, I was like locked out basically from the fridge that had all of our water and everything. So I wanted to hydrate and take my empty stomach supplements and then go meditate, but I was locked out. So I was like, we're in Greece. I bet the water's fine. So I filled up a big glass and I put my drops of the 35% food grade hydrogen peroxide in there. And then I drank it and I took my supplements. And after I finished my meditation, he was kind of waking up, and I was like, dude, the water here tastes terrible. He's like, you didn't drink that, did you? I was like, yeah, just had a big old glass of it with my empty stomach supplements. And he goes, dude, I think it's like Mexico water here. And I was fully expecting to be running to the bathroom with a terrible case of dysentery. But I wasn't. I was fine. And I think part of the reason was iron stomach, or the fact that the food grade hydrogen peroxide drops had like a sterilizing effect on the water. But I just noticed more energy with it. My thinking is clearer. I feel better. So I keep that as a one of the cleanses that I rotate in quarterly or biannually. And I'll do it for 4 to 6 weeks at a time at maximum dose, and then kind of rotate back out. Other ones, I like Calbran magnesium glycinate a lot. That plays a role in about 300 enzymatic processes, very common deficiency. So I like having Calbran magnesium glycinate on me. And then the B vitamins and C, I get my D from sunlight. So I'll take B6, B12, methylfolate. So like Thorn Methyl Guard Plus is one that's really good if you're MTHFR, or you can just get like the Seeking Health Active B12 with LMTHF lozenges. I like those. And then I do various forms of vitamin C. Sometimes I'll do Doctor's Best Quality. Sometimes I'll do food-based vitamin C products that have like rutin and camu and some other synergistic compounds in there, quercetin. Those are some of the main ones, but it changes. It does change. There's a lot. I love my supplements. Cool. Next question is from Jesse. Jesse asks, we got some good questions coming in too. Jesse asks, my blood pressure, it's a little on the high side, not too high, but I feel I perform better with it low. Maybe a mental thing. It's 135/95, not on meds, but still concerning. I eat well, but I believe it's more of a stress thing. I also exercise 5 to 6 times a week. When will you be in California? Thank you. All right, great question. On the blood pressure, the type of exercise you're doing matters. So I'd make sure you're hitting at least 120 minutes of steady state cardio per week in your target heart rate zone. If you want a little bit more explanation on that, go to biohackersguide.com, pick up my free book. It goes into more detail. I would also have 2 to 3 saunas per week in your weekly routine. That also, there's a lot of research on saunas helping to lower and optimize blood pressure. And then the third thing is I would do a 30-day period of committing to 10 minutes of meditation per day. You can use Headspace. You can use the Muse too, like I have here. We've got a podcast with Ariel from Muse where she shares a lot of the science behind meditation and what, how even if you don't feel like you are good at meditation, you're reaping the benefits just by committing to the practice. Those would be the 3 things that I would employ, Jesse. I would make sure that you're doing 120 minutes of steady state cardio per week. I would get the meditation in there consistently, and 2 to 3 sauna sessions per week. And I would imagine that you can get a blood pressure monitor. Omron makes some decent ones. You can get it pretty inexpensively and track. And I would bet the farm that 30 to 60 days after doing that, you'll see a big improvement. And again, now's as good a time as any to mention that none of what we're sharing here is for information purposes only. None of this is intended to diagnose, treat, or cure any disease. For any changes that you're going to make to your health routine, discuss those first with your physician or integrated medical professional. All right. Oh, here we go. So this was added to the spreadsheet. Thanks. So ME equals myalgic encephalomyelitis. Wow, I'm sure I destroyed that, but it's chronic fatigue syndrome. Okay, there we go. So the question, Josh Chandler's question from earlier, I can answer now. So Josh's question was, describe ME. I'm not hip to this. I was just told that I had it. Chronic fatigue is one of those blanket diagnoses where the name of the disease is a symptom. And there can be many causes of chronic fatigue. Low-level infections can be one. Mitochondrial dysfunction can be another. Toxic overload like heavy metals, plastics, all of the various BS that's in our water, fluoride, chlorine, etc. All of that can contribute to chronic fatigue. And chronic fatigue is more often than not death by 1,000 cuts, where it's not one thing, it's a lot of different things. And that echoes the importance of having good diagnostics so that you're going after the specific things that are having the biggest impact on, or basically having the most profound inhibitory effect on the outcome that you want to experience, right? So like, how do you determine what's causing the fatigue, what's stealing your energy, and then how do you apply best practices in the proper sequence to unwind those things? That's why we start out with our health assessment and the blood work. We got to get an idea of what it is, because chronic fatigue is not enough. It could be Epstein-Barr, it could be Lyme disease, it could be parasites, it could be Crohn's, colitis, IBS, where you've got holes in your intestines, you're not digesting, assimilating, and absorbing nutrients properly, and then you've got these deficiencies that result. So there's a lot of different things that can contribute to chronic fatigue, even just stress, relationship stress, financial stress, work stress. You hate your job, and every Sunday night you're dreading going to bed because once you go to sleep, the alarm goes off Monday morning and you're going to do something you don't like. All of these things can contribute to fatigue. Our radiation in our environment is a big one that's often overlooked. We talk about it a lot. So I think the best thing that I would say, Josh, is if you haven't ripped through the Biohacker's Guide to Upgraded Energy and Focus, get a membership inside our community where we break down and help people with their chronic fatigue, and you can start recognizing some of the patterns and applying them yourself. Or if you want help with it, apply for our coaching program. And if it's a mutual fit, then we can help you and condense time and do our best to get you there faster. Hope that helps. All right, nice. This one's from Mario. Mario asks, hey, Anthony, what are your thoughts on red light therapy? I like red light therapy. My favorite application is the Nova Thor bed. I think there's a few other beds out now that do it. I have the biggest Juve light that contains both red and infrared. Honestly, I don't use it too much, but that's part of the reason that I moved to Florida, was so that I didn't have to do as much light hacking. Like when I was in Chicago and it's dark 6 months out of the year, I was regularly using my infrared sauna. I was going to a high UVB tanning bed, the closest thing that I could find to mimic the sun. I was doing that 2 to 3 times a week. I was using my Juve light, and then even like sublingual lights. And you guys have probably seen the picture of me with the Vi lights in the intranasal lights. I used a ton of that stuff, and like nothing compared to getting enough sunlight to my eyes and exposed skin. And that's the place, whether we're talking about vitamin D, whether we're talking about light hacks, start with the sun and top yourself off there without burning first. And then, consider adding in things like the Juve light, which we have in our Biohacker store. Go try a Nova Thor. You can probably find a place that has one near you, and see if you get another improvement or uptick from those light hacks. But get the sun first. Those would be my thoughts. All right, Sandra asks, Sandra said, unfortunately, my mother is dying with asthma, and I'd love some biohacking advice. All right, so these are very, very tricky waters. I'm sorry. God, that sucks. Sandra, I'm sorry about your mother. That's got to be hard. With asthma and many causes of death, what we have is immune dysfunction and low voltage in the body. You can call that mitochondrial dysfunction, but you have someone who's low in electrons, and their immune system isn't able to restore homeostasis in the body the way that it once did. So it really depends where she's at, and I would make sure that if you're working closely with a physician, if you're not already working closely with a physician, do that. You can find people who are good on functionalmedicine.org, their practitioner search. Find a good functional medicine doctor or integrative medical professional. And then what asthma is at its core is there's inflammation there that's contributing. Because of the gravity of your situation, I want to just pull up some notes here and see if we have anything that we've found to be particularly helpful. I would look for the things that are causing inflammation, and I would start with her diet. I would get on a protocol that's closely aligned with like the Gershon protocol for cancer, because it's going to remove a lot of the inflammatory foods, and it's going to also provide her, especially through juicing, through vegetable juicing. I'd get a Champion juicer, and I would have her drinking green juice from the Champion or the Omega juicer. Both are great, multiple times a day. And I would have that be her foundation, and then provide her with other nutrient dense foods, fruits and vegetables. You can make soups, salads, stir fries. She can eat organic blueberries, raspberries, blackberries. You can get her healthy fats, extra virgin olive oil, wild caught fish, salmon, to drive down inflammation, because a lot of it is probably coming from grains and dairy and sweets and processed foods. And I know she loves that stuff. It would, I would ask her if she's willing to do an experiment, 45-day experiment. And then I would look into, depending on her physical state, if there's an ozone practitioner that you could see. Ozone could be beneficial. Either a combination of ultraviolet blood irradiation with major autohemotherapy like blood ozone, or if that's not possible, rectal insufflation could be helpful. Even like an ozone sauna. It really depends on how what state she's in and how resilient she is. You have to discuss this stuff and use your best judgment, because I don't know enough about your mom, and I don't want this to be misconstrued with medical advice. Like it's not. I just feel for you, and I understand. I understand that what you're going through is very difficult. I would also grab that book, The 1 Minute Miracle, and read about that and look at some of the studies on diluted 35% food grade hydrogen peroxide and how that can help the immune system. And if you and her both agree that that's something that you would like to integrate, you can do that, and that may be helpful in getting her immune system back online. And then the other thing that's coming to mind for helping with systemic inflammation, once you've made those dietary changes that we discussed, would be proteolytic or systemic enzymes. I would get natural factors, double strength Zyme Active. These are enzymes that break down undigested food particles in the blood that can contribute to inflammation and an autoimmune response that takes energy away from a proper directed targeted immune response, and it frees up that energy to go to regeneration and healing. And I would take six capsules of the double strength Zyme Active in the morning on an empty stomach. If she's doing well with those things, then I would look into layering in Nutrimedic's Cemento, which is a powerful herbal antibiotic. So if some of this is bacterial in nature, then slowly working up to the recommended dosage of Nutrimedic's Cemento, and it can be combined with the 1 Minute Miracle 35% food grade hydrogen peroxide. You can do them both in the same glass, let it sit for a minute, and then have her just kind of drink it down quickly. If I were in your shoes, those would be some of the things that I would consider. But again, please do your own research and consult with your physician. You're not gonna go wrong with getting her 4 to 6 glasses of green juice, celery, cucumber, mint, lemon, lime, leafy greens. You won't go wrong with any of those. And you can get some more recipes from like the Gershon protocol if you want to get a little bit creative with it. Yeah, I'm sorry, Sandra, and I hope that helps. Cool. Noelle asks, oh, Claudia said no question, just to thank you for all you do. Thank you, Claudia. Appreciate you. All right, so what do we got here? So this was, Noelle asked, I'm interested to hear any hacks or tips that you would suggest a very overweight person focus on when strategy and life changes for weight loss. I think that's the one from earlier. We actually just did a podcast on this. So go to Apple Podcasts or whatever they call it on iTunes, where you listen to podcasts now, and go to the Biohacking Secret Show. And if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe. And if you get value from anything we do, like my one ask here is to subscribe to our podcast and give it a 5-star rating, because that helps us, reach more people and allows us to do some of this stuff, for free for you guys. So that would be my one ask. If you guys have gotten any value from the Biohacker's Guide or these Q&As or the podcast or any videos that we've done, like, please go to Apple Podcasts, subscribe, and leave a 5-star review. We did an episode where we talk about, I don't remember the name of it, like Branch or someone on our team may know what we called it, but it's about mindset, the mindset for weight loss. And it was a coaching call recording from someone who had done our full health assessment and 75-minute consultation. And a lot of it you'll hear is just setting up that foundation where he's got the right mindset. We've got, he's going into it like he is entering a world championship fight camp. And for 90 days, there is no more of the tomfoolery, the dabbling, the things that keep us from achieving the outcome that we want to achieve. And I think listening to that, as long as you're okay with a little bit of strong language, I don't talk that way all the time, but it was important to impress upon him the gravity of his situation. And I wanted to do everything that I could to kind of wake him up and help him to make these changes for himself. So I did use some strong language, but as long as you're okay with that, that would be a great episode to listen to, or have the person that your friend or loved one, have them listen to it. Cool. Nick asks, I've been taking GNC type pre-workouts over the last couple of years, really trying to find a more natural, healthier alternative to a pre-workout. Thanks. Really like your content. Cool. Thanks, Nick. Appreciate that. And a lot of the time, I love espresso. So a lot of days I'll do like between 2 and sometimes even 5 shots of espresso, depending on how much I need to get done and how much I want to get that caffeine geek. If you tolerate caffeine, all right, that's what I do. A lot of times I'll get like an iced Americano from Starbucks. If I put any sweetener in it, it's a little bit of stevia. Or even like I've done their double shot before. Just be careful. Like if your adrenals are already taxed or you're deficient in magnesium, a hefty dose of caffeine will make you feel anxious and jittery and not good. But if you've kind of got your magnesium dialed in, you're taking magnesium glycinate or magnesium malate, and your adrenals are in all right shape, you're managing your stress, maybe taking some adaptogens like rhodiola, ashwagandha, schizandra, licorice, then just good old fashioned espresso is my favorite, and the one that I end up using the most. I'm probably going to buy an espresso machine just so I can do some of them at home. I enjoy going to the coffee shops as like my get out of the office and go see some faces and say hi to people part of my day. So that would be the only reason that I'm not like immediately diving into purchasing an espresso machine for the house. The other one, so this one I haven't tried, but I've heard some great things about it from clients, clients that have used many pre-workouts and just enjoy them. It's called AT4. So I can't screen share with you guys, but like on Amazon, if you just search AT4 premium pre-workout, it says focused energy without the jitters, advanced nutrient absorption formula, Tropic Thunder. The ingredients on that one are decent and people are loving it. So if you wanted a more traditional pre-workout, that one may be good. The Genius brand, Rob over at Genius makes some really good products too. Like I've used their muscle builder periodically, and I saw a big difference in the amount of muscle that I was putting on from my workouts. I just looked bigger. I felt a little bit of inflammation that may have had nothing to do with that, but the Genius brand, they make some pretty good products. So you could also check theirs out. So in order for me personally, I just do regular espresso, and either in like an iced Americano or straight. And then the other options would be like that AT4 pre-workout or some of the ones that Genius puts out, the Genius brand supplement company puts out. Hope that helps. Tony, how are we doing in questions? All right, cool. We're getting towards All right. So Tony asks, any good supplements for boosting testosterone, injections or salve or pellets? All right. So first I would do I would pull out the things that can decrease testosterone. So get your environment optimized. Make sure that where you work, where you sleep, where you chill, and the places you go when you travel, if you're using like an ENV RD10 meter, that you're 2 green lights or less and no beeps when you're in RF mode. We've talked about that in some of the other Q&As, and we kind of walk clients through it, but that's the quick and dirty. You got to make sure that the way that you're using technology is healthy and not, driving sex hormone binding globulin up and testosterone down, and and then you got to be detoxing properly. We talked a little bit about the role that the liver plays in detoxification, estrogen metabolization, like all of our hormones. It's this complex symphony that they interplay with one another. So for example, like if I was just on a consultation with a client and his sex hormone binding globulin was high, his testosterone was between like 700 and 800, which is decent for like a 37-year-old guy who's, he was in decent shape and not taking testosterone or anything like that. 700 to 800 is pretty good. And I look at a lot of blood work, but his sex hormone binding globulin was really high. So that's a hormone that binds to his free testosterone and renders it unusable. So what he needed to do was not inject himself with testosterone or take testosterone pellets or salve. He needs to make changes to his environment and lifestyle that are going to get his sex hormone binding globulin down, improve, I don't remember where his estrogen was at, but if it was at all off, you got to improve detoxification, maybe through coffee enemas, maybe through helping your body make that switch from fight or flight to rest and digest, that switch from sympathetic to parasympathetic. Like meditation's a great way of doing that. And you got to look at the big picture here. So having said all of that, so some supplements that we've used to improve male hormonal health, Life Extension has one called Super Mira Forte, 4 capsules of that daily with food. The Quicksilver Scientific nano encapsulated DIM, 4 pumps of that in the morning, empty stomach. And if if your estrogen is high, another 4 in the afternoon on an empty stomach. Hold under your tongue, swish around before swallowing. And then the Planetary Herbals freeze-dried stinging nettle, 2 of those in the morning on an empty stomach can also drive that sex hormone binding globulin down so that free testosterone goes up. And then when you've done those things, make sure you're getting enough sleep, because like your sleep quantity is only going to do so much if you've got a Wi-Fi router running that's suppressing your melatonin and preventing you from getting deep in REM sleep. Then you can look at some of the low-level infections that we've seen interfere with sleep, interfere with detoxification, and pretty much every process in our body. And like once you've done as much as you are willing to do, right? Because everyone's willing to do different amounts and commit to change at varying degrees. If you're still not where you want to be with your testosterone, and depending on your age and all that stuff, then you could investigate hormone replacement therapy via injections or salve or pellets. When we work with a number of clients, and like most of them don't do hormone replacement therapy, some do. And I look at that as not a like right or wrong, yes or no binary situation. I look at it as preference, and it depends on age and some of these other factors that we discussed. When we do have clients that are doing it, they tend to do best with injection. And but I've had people do the pellets and the salve, and again, it really depends. Like if someone hates needles, I'm not going to say force yourself to do an injection or anything like that, So hope that helps. Where we at, Air? All right, cool. Ramiro, what's up, Ramiro? Ramiro says, Hey, Anthony, I'm a big fan of everything you're doing. Thank you. It's cool, Ramiro. Thank you. I wonder if my mom is padding these questions with like nice little ego boosting sentences at the beginning. I'm kidding, but I wouldn't put it past her. I've been a big guy most of my life. Got gastric bypass surgery at 40, got down to 230 pounds. Now in my late 40s, and I'm finding myself getting big again. I believe I'm low T and willing to put in the work. Where should I start in the biohacking secret system? Test, a program, supplements you can recommend to start my path back to a healthy self? Okay, great question. I would I would start, if you haven't already, I would start by committing to training 6 days a week and training at an intensity level that does not exceed your ability to recover, because overtraining is going to make the problem worse, right? But you want to be able to train like 6 days a week. And I would have a good balance of cardiovascular training, strength training, where you're really testing yourself without exposing yourself to injury, but where you're lifting weight that is as heavy as you can possibly lift in that 3 to maximum 8 or 9 rep range, at least a couple times a week. And that has been shown to have the biggest positive impact on testosterone. And it's rare that I see anyone lifting like that and integrating some of the, like that type of training into their weekly splits. If you were just looking for a general program, I want to do a program, and we will do a program where I put together the type of workouts that I enjoy doing and that we do over here and recommend with clients so that people can follow along with it. That's just, as you're probably hearing, a ways out with the stuff that's already on my plate. But if you go to like Athlean X, ATHLEANX, he's got some good programs. You can enter some information about yourself, your goals, your age, so on and so forth, that will allow him to direct you to a program that is best tailored to your intended outcome. So his programs are also good because they're short, so you can usually get the workouts done in 30 minutes. And so I would have that as a part of your weekly routine, and then I would be getting in some of that cardio that we've discussed, 120 to 180 minutes per week in your target heart rate zone. And again, just refer to biohackersguide.com. If you don't have the book, pick it up and rip through it. There's a lot of stuff in there that will help and clean up your environment, manage your stress. Those are some of the things I would start. We talked about some of the supplements in one of the previous questions, so those may also be applicable here. You got to know the story of what's going on with your testosterone, though. You don't want to just guess. Like a lot of guys think they're low testosterone, and they're actually it's actually that like their thyroid is slow, or their adrenals are not working properly, and they can feel that lethargy or lack of passion and vigor and motivation, and they assume it's testosterone because testosterone gets all the press. But just as often, I'll see it actually be a thyroid issue or a adrenal, cortisol dysregulation issue that's at the root cause. So like that's where like picking up the Life Extension Male Elite panel or getting involved in our coaching program so we can help you get that stuff figured out and then really laser focus a game plan for you might be helpful. And that link to apply is biohackingsecrets.com/coaching. We've also got it in the title of the video. Hope that helps, Ramiro. All right, Patrick asks, for the ultimate biohacker superfood smoothie, why add the D-ribose? So this was on Instagram. If you guys are on Instagram, make sure to follow at Biohacking Secrets. That's where I post a lot of behind the scenes things that I'm doing. And this was one example from that. I posted a smoothie that I had made. And one of the ingredients was D-ribose. So the short answer is that D-ribose is helpful in ATP production, energy production. So we've used it with people that have chronic fatigue or ME. And we've also used it with a bunch of our athletes and high performers who just want to, have steady, consistent energy throughout the day. And it works great in both places. I feel a difference when I'm taking it consistently, and that's the reason why. So you can do a little bit of research on Dribose if you want to dig deeper and see some of the studies on it. It's pretty impressive stuff. And yeah, that's the reason. Jason asks, what's up, guys? I see some of you guys saying hi. Appreciate that. Hello, hello. All right. Jason asks, in reference to your post on Apple AirPods, do you have a stance on the Halo Sport, which is Bluetooth? If so, please share. Yeah, good question. So both the Apple AirPods and the Halo Sport use Bluetooth. The difference is with the Halo Sport, you're using it for, let's say you do 3 strength training sessions per week. And let me give you guys a little bit of a background for those of you that aren't familiar. The Apple AirPods, everyone knows what those are. Those are the little Bluetooth pods that go in your ears, but they're also transmitting microwave radiation into your skull. And we know bone from the work of Becker. Bone acts like a conductor and actually amplifies those frequencies around what is probably your greatest asset, your brain. The research is very clear on non-native EMFs, non-native electromagnetic frequencies. So we're talking Bluetooth, cell phones, cell towers, Wi-Fi. It is not good for our health. It's very convenient. I mean, that's how we're doing this call right now, and I'm appreciative of it. It just needs to be used intelligently. And when people have those AirPods, they're usually using them for hours of the day, every day, exposing themselves to that. The Halo Sport is a device that uses electrical stimulation to stimulate the motor cortex. So it uses like a low-level electric current to actually activate the motor cortex. And we see people learning routine motor patterns faster. So chefs with chopping, piano players learning new musical instruments. We see athletes having greater explosive power, faster sprint times, higher vertical jumps. I've noticed when I'm trying to learn something or like do a new type of workout, when I've used the Halo Sport for 20 minutes beforehand to like neuroprime, as they call it, I learn it much faster. And I usually feel like I'm able to recruit greater amounts of strength. So it's very much like, yes, they're both Bluetooth, but they're used differently. I use the Halo Sport for 20 minutes and then I take it off. And I'm either back to no headphones or corded headphones. The Apple AirPods, it becomes more of a chronic thing. And the dose makes the poison. Like, you're never going to eliminate your exposure to this stuff. It'd be impossible. But you want to pick and choose your punches. And I can do everything that Apple AirPods can do with a pair of corded headphones. Like, it may be a little bit of a slight inconvenience, but it's far more convenient than neurodegenerative disease or Alzheimer's decades down the road. So that's my stance. And again, do your own research. I'm not saying that Apple AirPods cause Alzheimer's. I don't want to get sued by Apple, but do your research. There's a lot of scientific studies and anecdotal case studies proving that these things are not good for us. This is a question kind of linked to that question, so I'm not going to put it in, but Carter Blackburn said, regarding the post on Apple AirPods, can you refer to some citations regarding health impact? Yeah, there are hundreds. There's $50 million studies. You can look at the Italian Ramazzini study. You can pick up Nick Pinot's book, The Non-Tinfoil Guide to EMFs. I think he's got about 100 or 200 citations in there. Dr. Joseph Mercola at Mercola.com. If you just Google search Mercola.com EMF, he has a number of articles with dozens of citations on their health impact. And yeah, there's many. Just search. You can search EMF or non-native EMF and health. I would specifically look up some of the work of Martin Paul, and he was the one that identified the mechanism, or at least one of the mechanisms through which these things have a harmful impact on our health. It's through the voltage gated calcium channels. So when we're exposed to these frequencies, like the human body, I'll just take like a quick step back. The human body, you've got the biochemical, and then you've got the bioelectric, and there's an overlap between the two. They're both required for optimal health and performance. When we're exposed to these bioelectric frequencies, these unnatural, Kumba, come on, man, come on. When we're exposed to this microwave radiation, which is what Apple AirPods are, it's not thermal, it's not cooking your ears or your brain, but it is decreasing your energy production by decreasing the amount of ATP that your mitochondria are able to make. It's also flooding your cells with peroxynitrate and other free radicals that lead to double-stranded DNA breaks and accelerated aging. We've done a bunch of, listen to the podcast again. So go to the Biohacking Secrets show podcast on Apple Podcasts or whatever you listen to podcasts on. Listen to the interview that we did with Dr. Joseph Mercola. Check out the interview that we did with Nick Pinot. We've dove deep in these, and a little bit of Google searching, you'll find plenty. And if you wanted a more exhaustive scientific research with hundreds of citations, get Nick Pinot's book, The Non-Tinfoil Guide to EMF. And I know Mercola was working on a book. He was going to call it EMF Extinction. I'm not sure if that is still in the works or if it got put on the back burner for another project that he's working on, but he'll also have one coming out. Yeah, hope that helps. Josh Felber. What's up, Josh? Josh asks, in reference to peptide therapies that utilize synthetic peptides based on naturally occurring compounds in the human body, do you have a legit source to order those? I've used them in the past. I've used them in the past, and they're really good, but not only offshore. So I think he's asking for a good place to order peptides. I don't do a ton with peptides. The one that I use the most is BPC 157. But I've done TB 500. I've used thymosin. There's a bunch. Some of them I really like. Some of them I find make me feel a little bit more inflamed, where they come with a trade-off. Let me see here. Some resources that I have used for peptides, Nordsci, NORD-SCI.com. I've used extremepeptides.com. I've used peptidesonline.com.au. I ordered some epithalamin from them, and those are some of the main ones. And then I've got peptides from, we do some work with Dr. Conniver and have a podcast with him. So he has, for our clients, you can order some from him, or, I mean, if you wanted to reach out to him directly, he probably wouldn't turn away a sale. But yeah, we do some customized protocols and order some things from him. And then I've ordered from other functional and integrative medical practitioners I've worked with, like at Thrive MD and Whole Health. So those are some of the main places that I have gotten them, but like I'm not regularly taking peptides. I pretty much go to BPC 157 when I need a little bit of help with accelerating recovery. Cool. Mark is a good question. Mark asks, how can women destroy cellulite? The same way that all of us destroy cellulite and body fat, through personalized nutrition, exercise, detoxification, hormone optimization. It's not easy, especially as we get older and the amounts of naturally produced hormones our body makes diminish. But fat is fat can also serve a purpose. It's not always just that you're eating too much and moving too little. You know, fat's one of the ways that our body protects us from toxins. You know, it's one of the ways that it keeps those toxins out of our blood and vital organs, where your body will not release. If that's the case, your body will not release fat stores until you address toxic overload, and not only the mobilization of those toxins, but also the elimination of those toxins, a great deal of which happens through the liver. So probably an unexpected answer to your question is improve your liver function. Coffee enemas, I lost 10 pounds within 6 weeks when I started doing coffee enemas with no changes to my nutrition or exercise. And it was just because my liver was backed up. Now, you know, those results are not typical and don't apply to everyone. But if your liver is overburdened and consequently you are accumulating toxins, then you know, your body's you're gonna hang on to fat as a survival mechanism. Make sure you're training 6 days a week at the right frequency, intensity, duration, with the right mix of all three energy systems: your aerobic or cardiovascular, your creatine phosphate. Some of that really, you know, the stuff that activates type 2B muscle fibers, the really heavy lifting, the explosive lifting, and then the traditional anaerobic, that's like, you know, what most people know, 8 to 15 reps, rest, you know, 1 minute in between sets, blah, 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 blah. Like, you got to be working all three energy systems. And most people are only getting one or at most two of those. Or if they are integrating some of the others, they're not doing it properly. So and that's a quick answer, but it really depends on what's causing her cellulite. Hope that helps though. Question from Cheryl. What's up, Cheryl? Cheryl said, my blood results showed that I have high Mycoplasma pneumoniae, antibody IgG. Can you explain to me what that is and how to get rid of it? I think this is silent pneumonia. And is that what it is? All right. So I don't do, if the thing with pathogens and a compromised state of health due to them is that they don't occur in isolation. Like, this is, it's easy to focus in on, you know, the presence of this Mycoplasma pneumoniae, which is basically like a bacterial infection. And, you know, it can be related to pneumonia and chronic fatigue. But if it's present, it's telling you that your immune system could be stronger. And there are probably other infections too. So doing some of the things that we've talked about on this call, like, it really depends on what is running down your immune system. You know, are you getting plenty of sunlight? Are you exercising 6 days a week in a way that makes you feel better, where you're sweating, you know, for 40 to 60 minutes? Are you using the sauna? Are you addressing deficiencies like vitamin C, B vitamins, magnesium, iron, if applicable? All of those things can prevent your immune system from keeping these infections in check and maintaining healthy balance or homeostasis in the body. So if this bacterial infection is there likely are others. And a focus on some of the things that we've talked about, Cheryl, and some of the things that you've probably heard on these Q&As, a protocol of ozone may be helpful. I know some people don't respond where they feel great initially. I think that you said you did ozone and felt a little bit worse at the beginning. I'm not recommending plant medicine. It's illegal in the US. I can say that I felt a huge lift from those 4 ayahuasca sessions I did at Rhythmia, as I mentioned. So I would look into that. That could be a way to give the immune system a little bit of assistance, and then allow it to kind of take back over and hopefully maintain balance and homeostasis on its own. The 35% food grade hydrogen peroxide protocol, Nutrimetics, Cemento, all these things can help. I would also look into, sometimes when infections are able to get a foothold and it's difficult to get rid of them, there are heavy metals are involved. And I'm not sure, I don't remember off the top of my head if that's something that we looked at, a while back. But if you have high heavy metals, mercury, aluminum, cadmium, lead, there's many, it can prevent our body from maintaining balance. And if that's the case, then a heavy metal detoxification protocol with DMSA or Detoxamin, ETDA suppositories, or even Quicksilver Scientific push catch may be necessary. So there's a lot of different things that could cause high levels of Mycoplasma pneumoniae antibodies to show up, but I wouldn't get too focused in on just that. I would zoom out a little bit and focus on what's interfering with immune function. Look at the heavy metals, some of the other things that we discussed. Employ some of the strategies to lower your body's pathogen load and take some of the weight off of the shoulders of your immune system, and kind of go from there. Hope that helps. Okay, so this is kind of related. Cheryl asked a follow-up question. She said, what's the best natural way to lower cholesterol? You don't always want to lower cholesterol, but cholesterol dysregulation can be a symptom of other things. And I would be looking at, my instinct here is heavy metals. And I haven't, the jury's still out whether we're seeing higher levels of heavy metals in clients because they're exposed to more heavy metals, or because so many of us are spending all of our time in this state of fight or flight, sympathetic dominance, and we just don't detox when we're in that state. But either way, one of the ways that heavy metals, here's another like adaptive mechanism that we see in the body. If you're exposed to heavy metals, one of the ways that your body can keep that from your blood and vital organs is by actually accumulating plaque on the endothelial lining of your circulatory system, your blood vessels and arteries. And what we see is that plaque starts to disappear. In some cases, even like 95% reduction in arterial plaque when you do proper heavy metal protocols, chelation protocols, like ETDA, either through those suppositories that I mentioned or through intravenous, but the intravenous is a little bit hard on the system, or DMSA, or even Quicksilver Scientific push catch. And there's a procedure called I think it's Keyzone, like CHEZONE, that where you do ETDA, intravenous chelation, and then you follow it with ozone. And when people are doing that, we see improvements in cholesterol, in the amount of arterial blockages, and like a rejuvenative effect on the cardiovascular system. The blood vessels and capillaries and arteries become like more supple and flexible. They're less likely to rupture and break. So in asking about cholesterol after your previous question, like, of course, yes, you want to eat a whole food diet. The template that has the most medical literature that I'm aware of in this would be like the Mediterranean diet. So say like a Mediterranean dietary template, or following some of the recommendations that I give in the Biohacker's Guide, is a first. Then training 6 days a week and getting at least 120 minutes of steady state cardio, getting that in, that's number two. And then you want to figure out, like, are heavy metals playing a role? If yes, and to do that, you could do like a heavy metal provocation test. You just want to make sure that you're doing one where you take some DMSA to get an actual reading. Or, some people will just, we've got a subjective part of our health assessment now that looks at heavy metals. And if someone scores real high, we'll ask them if they want to get the test or if they want to just do some chelation. And periodically people want to just go right to chelation for cost purposes and experience some benefits there where cholesterol decreases and they're feeling, just more energy and vitality across the board. So we don't know for sure, but hopefully that gives you some places to start. And then last question, here we go. This one's from Noni. What's up, Noni? Noni asks, there are some small portable machines I'm seeing that reportedly have alkaline with hydrogen, 1,600 parts per billion. One is from Q Life. Have you researched any of these? Yeah, so I mentioned the Halcyon machine that I have next to me here, where that I use to breathe molecular hydrogen. And I really, really enjoy that machine. And I actually recorded a podcast with Gordon Farquhar, who's one of the founders of the company. Great, great guy. And he's got a portable molecular hydrogen water machine that he's releasing. And it's like $400. It's going to produce higher parts per million than anything that's out right now, at least on the portable side. And I think we know other, after doing some testing, there are other molecular hydrogen companies that inflate their numbers. And like when you actually test it, they're nowhere close. Gordon is a man of high integrity, and I know that he diligently tests all of his products. So I'm pretty excited about that. We talk about it a little bit on that podcast episode. I don't think it's been released yet, but it will be soon. So if you're subscribed to the Biohacking Secrets Show, which all of you better be, you'll get notified when that one is released. And I like it that you can take it with you when you travel. So I'm not familiar with all of the machines on the market, but like the reason I got the Halcyon was because it's the best machine. It's the best molecular hydrogen inhalation machine that's made, in terms of flow rate, in terms of everything that matters. You get more of the good stuff with it. And Gordon's portable molecular hydrogen water device that's coming out soon, if it's not already, I believe we'll kind of take that part of the market too. So that's what I would keep an eye out for. I don't think, because like I'm not amazing at math where I could just do like 1,600 parts per billion. I don't know what that is in parts per million, but I would bet that Gordon's machine is better and higher. So I hope that helps, guys. This has been fun. You guys had some great questions. Vincenza said, "You're such a godsend." Thank you. Appreciate that. I'm glad you guys find some of this stuff helpful. And again, just to reiterate, if you find any of this stuff valuable, please subscribe to the Biohacking Secret Show podcast and leave us a 5-star review. Tell your friends about it. Tell them about the Q&As. And that's what allows us to keep doing this stuff for you guys. And if you want personal help, go to biohackingsecrets.com/coaching. That's where you can apply for our coaching program. We also have, I don't know if these spots are filled yet, but we are doing our Ultimate Biohacking Experience 2019. So if you guys have seen any of the Biohacking Week videos and what our events are like, they're incredible. And we're going to blow everything we've ever done out of the water with this Ultimate Biohacking Experience 2019. Working on some really cool stuff. We got a $10 million mansion in Pompano Beach, Florida, that everything's going to be taking place at. So it's going to be like really cool scenery, great group of entrepreneurs and high performers and businessmen and women. So if you guys are looking to really transform your body, to unlock your fullest potential in cognitive performance and cognitive endurance, so your brain feels sharp all day, and you want to grow your business by connecting with other like-minded people and really being able to apply your full potential to the things that you're working on and that are important to you. Yeah, that's going on October 17th through the 20th in Pompano Beach. And I don't know the website off the top of my head, but we've got like a couple spots that we're doing at our cost for people that want to attend. Now we're doing that in hopes that, you know, people that come and really experience what this can do for them, that they'll want to join our coaching program or our mastermind program. But you know, we have people that have been to past Biohacking Week events that are coming back, and a really amazing group. So it's going to be a ton of fun. It's going to be small and intimate, so that, you know, we can spend more quality time together, and we're going to be sharing the best of what's working right now. I just brainstormed like what my teaching points are going to be, and we've got, I don't know, it's going to be amazing. So if you guys are interested in that, probably the best thing, since I don't know if our newsletter, we put out an email or two like yesterday and today for it. So just search your inbox for whatever came from Anthony at biohackingsecrets.com, and then that'll have the link where you guys can learn more about that event. And if you want to apply, and if you can't find those, just go to the biohackingsecrets.com/coaching, and you can fill out like our coaching application, and we'll have a quick call to see if it is a fit. Appreciate you guys. Take care. Have an awesome night. And I'll talk to you on the next Q&A, which I think will be next Tuesday. Just don't quote me on that. All right, take care.